You'll notice he no longer suffers delusions of humanity.
Affirmative.
Welcome back once again, tribe. We're here on the World Economic Forum website again, dealing with their shit talking, their arrogance. So we're going to talk about today how they think they're going to get the trust of society at large back. Now granted, they might get the bot horde more than likely, but the rest of us, with some goddamn matter up here, we ain't gonna go for that. At least I hope not. And to the bot horde, if y'all fall for this, you get what you deserve.
I done gave you too many chances, baby.
How to rebuild trust in institutions. Results, results, results. Politicians, real estate agents, and lawyers are no longer alone in the dock of public opinion. Today, a wide range of liberal institutions stand accused of having lost people's trust. That is true of everything from multilateral bodies like the United Nations and the Bretton Woods architecture to democratic institutions within the states and philanthropies. This should concern us all. Just as low levels of trust within states hamper economic development and good government, so too does this deficit undermine global efforts to reach common goals on everything from economic equity to the climate crisis. Now, why are y'all in here acting surprised that nobody's trying to hear nothing you motherfuckers got to say?
Shut your goddamn ass up.
Why would you think that lying to us and being complicit in our destruction would endear you to us? The arrogance of you people is wild. The global trust recession. In the United States, trust in major national institutions is at or close to an all-time low. Similar patterns have been observed in the EU and are true across the world. Notwithstanding interstate differences, studies like Edelman's Trust Barometer chart what the authors of its latest edition call a global lack of faith in societal institutions triggered by economic anxiety, disinformation, mass class divide, and a failure of leadership. The Open Society Foundation's Open Society Barometer supplies additional insights. This global poll of 36,000 people was conducted in summer 2023 across a representative group of 30 countries with a collective population of over 5.5 billion. It depicts a world of newly intense anxieties, from 58% concerned about political violence in the next year and 70% worried that climate change could affect their lives over the same period. Most major categories of international leadership command the confidence of under half of respondents. This paints a gloomy picture of the prospects for democracy and multilateralism, which need trust to function. But the polling also reveals a silver lining. Across an array of questions, respondents indicated that they still have faith in both democracy and multilateralism. Strong majorities support democracy and individual rights, as well as greater equity ambition from global multilateral cooperation. For example, 68% said rich countries should give more money to the World Bank to support developing countries. But that faith is running on fumes. In another alarming finding, younger respondents were both somewhat less attached to democracy and somewhat more inclined to believe in strongman leadership than their elders. It would not be unreasonable to extrapolate that finding onto democracy's sibling, multilateralism. On both fronts, people's enduring faith in principles needs to be confirmed in practice. Is anyone really surprised that nobody trusts the U.S. government? Whether it is you don't trust the left wing of that bird or the right wing of that bird. They're out here playing both sides on both sides. They're out here playing with elections. They're doing it now as I'm making this video, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Well, we're not going to talk about that in detail. I want to talk about how they want to blame us, but they know they can't because the bot horde doesn't do well with taking accountability. And you're not going to gaslight those of us who are aware of what's going on. So all that talk of disinformation and mass class divide and a failure of leadership, y'all are in the ears of that leadership. Y'all caused the class divide. It's a bunch of pompous bureaucrats and world politicians sitting around on panels talking about the moves they're going to make for the masses. Y'all are the one that's destroying the middle class and making it only the haves and the have-nots. But I also have to remember when I read articles from the World Economic Forum is that they're not talking to us, they're talking about us to their associates. They want to talk about some of the people are worried about political violence. Some people are worried about climate change. Well, that's all they've been bombarding us with. Politically, they've been bombarding us since Trump. Like heavy that I've noticed, because I didn't really start paying attention to politics until after 2012. And the other half, or the other percentage of people, is worried about climate change. They believe that human beings on our level, being the general public, are responsible for climate change. We are not. They're just trying to shed blame onto us. They are the ones using weather weapons like HARP. They are the ones that cut down the giant trees. Yes, we're going to go there again. They cut down the giant trees. That's going to have an effect on the environment. And your own actions made it a gloomy picture for the prospects of democracy and multilateralism. Now, I'll give a slight benefit of the doubt. I know they're not exclusively talking about the United States corporation, because over here on this so-called land, so-called America, what is democracy? That's not from over here. That's that Eurasian communist rhetoric and propaganda. Over here, it's the republic, right? And we're not going to break down what's all going into that in this video. I'm trying to keep it short for y'all. But we all see that our government is trying to force us into the way of democracy. They go around and they say it to anyone who will listen till the cows come home. You can say it 1 billion times. It's not going to make this land a democracy.
I don't care about none of it, nigga.
Another thing I found funny in this paragraph was they're talking about democracy and individual rights in the same sentence. How do I have individual rights in a democracy when in a democracy it's numbers, pure numbers, or allegedly pure numbers if you've been paying attention politically in this country for the last almost decade, since about 2016. And then of course you're going to have all the people who have not, believing that rich countries should be giving money to the World Bank to support developing countries. What makes y'all think the World Bank is helping developing countries? Furthermore, who did y'all give that poll to? And I'm glad to see that the younger generations are getting away from democracy and trying to pull back into what they quote called strongman leadership. The world needs a whole lot more of that, because under you soft motherfuckers, we on the brink of destruction.
Request clarification of the term?
Yes, the term, Mr. Wordsworth, you people. You make reference to the state?
I make reference to the state.
Delivering results to build trust. Liberal institutions need more than better PR then. Tempting though it is to blame the crisis of trust on the rise of the internet, social media, and authoritarian populism, those are better viewed as symptoms than causes. As Robert Putnam, the doyen of academic analysis of social capital, put it of the blame the internet tendency. Voting, giving, trusting, meeting, visiting, and so on had all begun to decline while Bill Gates was still in grade school. The causes are rooted in the conditions of people's lives and the underlying health of their societies. The answer, therefore, has to be substantive. Liberal institutions need both to deliver better results and to be widely seen and understood to do so. Stronger individual and group rights, more inclusive prosperity, serious strategies to bring the crisis of our time back within our collective control. From the climate crisis and cost of living inflation to artificial intelligence and disorderly migration. In particular, a new emphasis on security in all its forms, personal, geopolitical, economic, environmental, digital, may point the way back to legitimacy. What this means concretely depends on the institution in question. The most promising national governments today are those that have recognized that the so-called neoliberal era that began in the 1970s and 1980s has now fallen away, just like the New Deal era before it. The contest for what will succeed is underway, with open questions as to whether or not more economically activist states will also be empowering and pluralistic ones. Governments alive to these realities are starting to define the successor paradigm in all manner of innovative ways. At the supranational level, multilateralism is on the back foot and often seems inadequate for the scale of the crisis it faces. But there are too certain leaders, coalitions, and initiatives who are showing the way forward. I witnessed that firsthand on a recent visit to Eastern Africa at the midterm review of the International Development Association. I saw the energy and dynamism of the new leadership of the World Bank. Then at the annual board meeting of BRAC, by some measures the world's largest NGO, board management and staff alike were inspirational. The task on all fronts is to pick out the bright spots, crowd in support, and scale up success faster. But the metabolism of the poly crisis is growing faster. Events threaten to overwhelm us. I'm here to tell you right now, ain't enough public relations, shielding, narrative spinning, and gaslighting that's gonna bring y'all back from the BS y'all pulled in the last half decade. At least not with the people that are aware. There's nothing we can really do for the bot horde. If they die, they die.
You need to check yourself.
Now, they say it's tempting to blame the internet, social media, etc., and misinformation, blah, blah, blah. But it's like reverse psychology. If you, a normal person, happen to come through here and read this, they need to try their best to keep you off their trail of what they're actually doing.
You got shit all twisted.
So, as we know from reading their articles before, they love to play word games, they love to do mental gymnastics, and they love to gaslight you to kingdom come. They want to say the causes for the distrust are rooted in the conditions of people's lives and underlying health of their society. Who's ruining people's lives and the underlying health of their society? Bare minimum, the World Economic Forum is allied to the people that are doing this. They're all one and the same to me. Liberal institutions can deliver all the results they want. I don't need to see no more results from them. I know what they're about.
I don't need none of it.
They're about death, destruction, conning, manipulating, dishonesty. We can go on and on. Now that stuff is, I'm not going to lie, it's going to work on the bot horde. They're going to keep those dummies walking around in circles chasing their tails while they drive the rest of us crazy with all their fucking word games and gaslighting. About the climate crisis, man-made, the cost of living inflation. We watched them do that. Now I know the so-called United States corporation has gone through many, but I've seen the one in 2008, and we live in the one right now, Bidenomics. They want to talk about artificial intelligence, something else that the World Economic Forum is spearheading, along with disorderly migration. Who caused the war that destabilized all these countries to bring all these migrants world around, shuffling people around, mixing and matching, plugging and plotting? But once again, they're not talking to me, they're talking at me, to their friends. There's no hope for y'all to be legitimate ever again. You're only legitimate in the eyes of the bot horde. And they're finally talking about ditching neoliberalism. But we all know what comes after liberalism. Some of them call it socialism. I call it straight up communist dictatorships. We all know that though. All the world leaders, they're acting like they're trying to find a replacement. We all know what's coming. The New World Order.
World Order! New World Order!
Now, that's not giving them power. That's just telling any normie that'll listen that, hey, we got a problem. We need to fix it. In one way or the other. Doesn't matter to me. But either way, it's got to get solved.
I said, do we have a problem? Huh?
Philanthropies for progress. Philanthropies, too, have a vital role to play in delivering the substantive change needed to confront the crisis of trust facing liberal institutions more widely. The sector has suffered too much from that crisis, with the likes of the foundations like the Open Society Foundations and others like the Gates Foundation in recent years treated as suspect. Here, too, the answer is results, results, results. Philanthropies can do remarkable things that governments, international institutions, and private firms cannot. They have a greater risk-taking capacity than others, so can be both more urgent, moving fast in response to a crisis, and more patient, investing for the long term and sticking to a course over many years. With compatibility comes responsibility. The philanthropic sector has freedoms others do not. So judge philanthropies by the impact we achieve by harnessing them, and join us in our bid to restore trust in liberal institutions, one substantial success at a time. Number one, if you've seen my other videos on this channel, you know that me and Billy Gates got beef.
I done gave you too many chances, baby.
They're really obsessed with changing the image of liberal institutions. Like I said earlier in this video, there's no going back for y'all. People know who you are, or they perceive who you are. The only people that are going to believe you is the bot horde. All of us, we're not going for it. And what other results do you want out of the Gates Foundation? We're going to target them specifically because fuck you, Bill Gates.
I told that little nigga, don't fuck with me. I try to be a good motherfucking nigga, but I can't be because little bitch ass niggas like you want to fuck with me.
What results are they giving us? Death, death, and more death and inconvenience. Y'all doing a good job solidifying the narrative against you versus fixing it. But then again, I guess that's what your reset is for, huh? With all of that said, there's really no complex closing statement needed here. Just a simple question. Are y'all gonna continue to subjugate yourselves to this group of maniacs? Thinking about them makes my blood boil. I calm myself by knowing that they're gonna eventually get what's coming to them. And that's not wishful thinking. They know that they're gonna get what's coming to them. That's why they're doing what they're doing. So I'm not gonna get all bent out of shape. I'm gonna just stay in the cut, keep on watching, keep on reporting.
I'm a real nigga. What?
I just hope that y'all join in trying to wake up as many people as we can, or just gathering those that knows what's going down. But how much more can we take before we're in an irreversible position?
You got something to say, mate, you say it.
We have the chance right now to kick these niggas in their ass and send them on their way. But are we going to do that? Or are we going to let them off the hook once again?
You gonna man up or you gonna be a bitch?
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming once again to sit with me as we sift through all this bullshit that, quite frankly, I'm tired of dealing with. These people got to be dealt with.
I'm gonna give you one more time. Bro. And you're through.
So, like always, please like, share, subscribe, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one.
Why don't you bring your media cameras over there if you want to see some real truth?
So say good night to the bad guy.
Point.
I am a human being. I exist.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Delusions. Send the word.